Imagine stepping outside on a crisp October night. Leaves crunch under your shoes, and your heart races with excitement as you clutch a pillowcase, ready to fill it with candy. Your costume isn't bought from a store. It's pieced together from old clothes, bed sheets, or whatever you can find around the house. Before today's endless aisles of decorations and expensive masks, Halloween was simpler, smaller, and maybe even more magical. From the community-centred celebrations of the 1950s to the pop culture boom of the 1960s, the horror-driven 1970s, and the flashy, over-the-top 1980s, let's rewind through 4 decades of Halloween nostalgia. The 1950s. Family, community, and homemade fun. In the 1950s, Halloween was less about big business and more about togetherness. Schools were the heart of the holiday, filled with cutouts of black cats, witches and smiling pumpkins taped to classroom walls. Costume parades gave kids a chance to show off creations often stitched or assembled at home. At home, families carved jack-o'-lanterns together, roasting pumpkin seeds in the oven and filling houses with a warm autumn smell. Decorations were simple: paper pumpkins, orange and black streamers, and handmade crafts. Neighbours often gathered for parties with games like bobbing for apples and ghost stories told in dim basements. Costumes reflected creativity. A cowboy outfit meant a flannel shirt and toy gun. A ghost only required a sheet and scissors. An old lady costume could be made with a pillow belly and talcum powder in the hair. When kids finally hit the streets, they roamed freely in groups without parents. Treats included popcorn balls, cookies, penny candies, and even apples, homemade and given with trust. The 1960s. Pop culture and store-bought costumes. By the 1960s, Halloween began shifting toward commercialism. Store-bought costumes exploded in popularity thanks to companies like Ben Cooper Incorporated. Their boxed sets, complete with a thin vinyl smock and a stiff plastic mask, let kids become their favourite superheroes, cartoon characters, and TV icons. Though uncomfortable, those masks were treasured symbols of the holiday. Pop culture fueled the fun. In 1962, Bobby Boris Pickett released Monster Mash, a novelty hit that instantly became Halloween's anthem. It played on radios and at house parties across the country. Another big milestone came in 1969, when Disneyland opened its Haunted Mansion. With detailed sets and professional scares, it elevated the idea of haunted attractions and sparked a nationwide boom. Yet despite commercialization, many old traditions endured. Kids still carved pumpkins, classrooms still hosted parades, and trick-or-treating still carried the magic of neighbours opening their doors with a smile. The 1970s. Horror films and Halloween anxiety. The 1970s took Halloween in a darker direction. This was the golden age of horror films: The Exorcist, 1973, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974, and Halloween, 1978, terrified audiences and changed the holiday's tone. Suddenly, scary wasn't just fun, it was bone-chilling. Costumes mirrored the times. Blockbuster characters ruled, with Star Wars leading the way after 1977. Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, and Princess Leia became some of the most coveted looks. Licensed character costumes from movies, cartoons, and TV shows surged in popularity. But the decade also introduced a lasting fear: tampered candy. Urban legends of poisoned treats and razor blades caused panic. Parents began supervising trick-or-treating, inspecting candy, and banning homemade goods.
Individually wrapped candy became the new safe option. Hospitals even offered X-ray screenings of candy bags. While the innocence of the 50s had faded, the spirit of Halloween survived, just with more caution and scarier thrills. The 1980s, Halloween in overdrive. By the 1980s, Halloween had grown into a full cultural spectacle. This was the decade of excess, and Halloween reflected it perfectly. Kids dressed as Ghostbusters, E.T. Care Bears, Cabbage Patch Kids, or even pop stars like Madonna. Costumes became more realistic, with rubber masks replacing the old plastic ones. In 1986, McDonald's added its own iconic twist, the pumpkin-shaped Happy Meal pail. Suddenly, trick-or-treaters had a new, brightly colored alternative to pillowcases. The orange bucket became a symbol of 80s Halloween. For teens, October 30th, often called Mischief Night, was just as exciting. Toilet-papered trees, soaped windows, and egged houses became suburban rituals, adding a rebellious edge to the season. Despite lingering fears about candy safety, Halloween thrived. Parents checked candy carefully, but kids still hit the streets in droves. The combination of commercialism, pop culture, and tradition created some of the most memorable Halloweens in history. Looking back, Halloween between the 1950s and 80s tells a story of change. From neighborhood parades and homemade costumes to blockbuster-inspired masks and pumpkin pails, the holiday grew alongside American culture itself. And yet, the heart of Halloween never disappeared. It has always been about imagination, community, and that magical thrill of a cool October night. So here's the question for you. If you could bring back one tradition, homemade popcorn balls, spooky school parades, or those scratchy plastic masks, what would it be? Share your favorite memory down below. And stay tuned with the American Rewind, where we bring history's best moments back to life.